the idea that you can change your sex by incantation, by saying, abracadabra, Stacy, right?
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Right. Like that doesn't sell with the ordinary person.
Exactly.
Right.
And when's it stop? Constantly, like, what's the next thing? Because now it's on the gender situation where if I say and if you don't, you could get canceled. You could get taken off of YouTube, and you get strikes, and it's insane how it's just. That's where's the goalpost going?
But here, let's go into the story. Let's just go into a few of the stories. I want to get into that right now. Corinne Jean-Pierre said, dangerous to say transgender kids can hurt girls in sports. When logic, and this is the press secretary, because if she says it, it's right. 100%. So here's a couple things that's going on in different states. Another state just banned transgender athletes from women's college sports. This is a town hall story. Texas Governor Abbott signed the Save Women's Sports Act, which prohibits transgender women from participating in women's college sports. Governor Abbott stated, women's sports are being threatened. Some women are being forced to compete against biological men. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey also signed legislation banning male-bodied athletes from competing in women's sports. Emphasize fairness. If you're a biological male, you are not going to be competing in women's and girls' sports in Alabama. Republican State Representative Susan DuBose, the sponsor of the bill, highlighted the inherent advantage of being born male. No amount of hormone therapy can undo all those advantages. Instances like transgender swimmer Leah Thomas winning against female athletes have sparked concerns about fairness and equal opportunities. Tom, you got two girls. What are your thoughts when you see this story here?
In sports, when you allow that emotional declaration of who I feel I am, going back to what you're talking about, liberalism is based on feelings. I feel I'm a female. Now I'm allowed to go compete, and we've seen the outcome of that. A 6'3" man, still with male genitalia, as was seen by all the women that were in the locker room at the Ivy League championships. They said, wait a minute, they said he was a girl. That's male genitalia hanging off this guy. And number one. And number two, he's 6'3" and he had size 13 feet. Those are much bigger flippers than the average woman is going to have.
Picture shocking, Tom.
Look at
exactly.
If that picture says 1,000 words, I mean, that is insane.
You like your cowboy hat? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're focusing on?
Well, I'm more focusing on the bottom left
package. Take a look
package.
at the cowboy hat and her expression. Be glad she's not armed, ladies and gentlemen, because that's an angry cowgirl there.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to take out of this, there's no time, there's no validation, there's no test. It's an emotional thing. And so you need to protect them. This is swimming showed the performance. Now the risk was showed up in October of 2022 in Cherokee County in North Carolina, where the volleyball spike knocked the girl unconscious, and she was having concussion symptoms for 3 weeks. CAT scans proved it. And then what used to be a fairly liberal school board, they voted 5-1 and said, yeah, after we saw that volleyball spike, maybe you can't declare on Monday you're a female.
Common sense prevails.
Common sense prevailed because they saw what happened there.
Right.
Well, and
can you play this clip? Go ahead and play the clip. See what happens.
You got a concussion here, Tom?
Watch the lower right. They should highlight the girl.
Watch this.
Here she comes.
That's a guy?
That's a male jumping. Boom! She's out.
She's done. That's it.
And so the school board saw this and goes, how long is the girl over there? 9 weeks. Apparently she had declared she was female. 9 weeks. And she's playing. And that's what Leah Thomas said. I want to win a championship, so I declare it.
I've probably interviewed more trans people than most people. A lot of trans people are also being thrown under this bus because this is being done not on their behalf. This is being done by like activists. A lot of trans people are actually quite sensible. They're like, look, I'm not comfortable in my body. I want to live in a different way. I don't need you to pretend that I am literally the opposite sex. Just don't beat me up and leave me alone.
Exactly.
Right? And I kind of feel sorry for them. But I'll tell you a story that will blow your mind, which is kind of relevant to this. So my grandmother was born in a gulag.
Wow.
She was born in a concentration camp for political prisoners. And one of the things people don't know is once you're released from these camps, you would not be allowed to live within like 100 miles of any big city. So you'd have to live in some kind of remote town. And they all ended up settling in these remote towns in the middle of Siberia. And the only people that lived there were the former prisoners of the camps, a few of the local native tribes, of which there were many, and the guards from the very same camps that the prisoners came from. And they would live in the same building. My grandmother's family, they lived in a landing across from another apartment. And in the other apartment, there was a guy who was a guard. okay? And what she told me is when Stalin died, right, and he was exposed as having committed all these terrible atrocities and so on, there was a spate of suicides in this town because these guards, they all killed themselves because they genuinely believed they were doing the right thing when they were beating these people and torturing these people. And that's when, you know, hearing those stories from my family, that's when I really learned from early days to get people to do something terrible but think they're good, you need ideology. And this is ideology. This isn't real. This isn't common sense. This isn't people thinking about it critically. This is ideology. And that's how you get to the point where you've got massive guys playing against little girls. That's how you get there, because it's ideology. People aren't actually examining the facts and trying to get to the right place.
They're going to lose. That argument's going to lose. Remember how confident these people when they were saying defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. Do you remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
And now they're like, we never said that.
Yeah.
We never said that.
And then their
Look
house
how
got robbed.
quickly